Game Over Man is a recent comedy film brought to us by Netflix and the guys over at Workaholics. This film also stars the three main guys from Workaholics. And their three characters, Alex, Joel, and Darren, they all work on staff at this hotel. Sometimes they're waiters, sometimes they clean up after the hotels, and they're really getting sick and tired of working here and they want to make something of themselves. And while there's a billionaire attending the hotel, they're like, hey, why don't we pitch them this great idea for a game or something to him? But then, of course, some bad guys come because he's rich and they want his money, or something like that, and these three guys are the only ones left. Who can stop him? It's basically Die Hard meets a terrible R-rated comedy from the guys of Workaholics. Woohoo! What really got my attention about this movie was mainly the fact that Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg were producing it, and I thought maybe there could be something else to this film, because I do think that Seth and Evan are very talented people, and I don't really watch a lot of Workaholics. I know basically what it's about, and I've seen a couple bits of it whenever I walk into the living room and notice it's on TV, but I was hoping that with those guys producing, maybe this team of people who mainly work on Workaholics could make something special out of this. After all, Workaholics is a show that I've heard has been praised a lot for its comedic efforts, and these three stars are praised for their comedic chemistry. And I guess you could say the best part about this movie is the fact that you can tell they're friends in real life. That doesn't really translate into good character motivations, good character jokes, good character chemistry. So I don't see how them being friends actually is a good positive. To be honest with you guys, I saw this movie a couple months back, and I was in denial a little bit. I was really holding on to like maybe two things as far as a positive, and one of them was the fact that I could tell that these guys actually enjoyed working together, but then of course I realized, thinking it over before filming this, like, wait, that doesn't work, because if it seems like they're friends in real life, then maybe their friendly bond in the movie should work more. But it doesn't. Maybe their characters should work more. Maybe you should actually care about their characters. And I could give less of a crap about them. Adam Devine especially, who is basically just a selfish narcissist throughout the entire film. So mean-spirited until, of course, the sad emotional part of this comedy where they force in how you should feel bad for Adam Devine because he doesn't really have a lot of friends and he lives at the hotel and no one knows that he's a hoarder and he's so down on his life, like, who freaking cares? You just made me sit through an hour and a half of this guy telling miserable jokes to people, acting like a huge nuisance on everyone, but now you want me to feel bad for him just because you're forcing in some dramatic thing about his character? No, that's not how that works. You can't just write in something dramatic and then expect me to have like a complete 180 on the character. Like, I still think he's annoying, even with this dramatic subplot you added. So out of the three, Adam Devine was definitely the most annoying one out of them. Like, I could not stand his character. But even then, the other two aren't that good either. Anders Holm, who plays Darren in this movie, he is a stoner. Basically, he takes a lot of drugs and acts like a drugged up idiot in certain scenes. He's the least annoying one out of them. I don't really recall him really getting on my nerves a whole lot. There's definitely, you can tell, some really forced and terrible improv going on. You can tell when they start to stutter and it seems like they're starting to make things up on the spot just because we didn't write this part of the script, so make it up. But he didn't really do anything character-wise that really annoyed me. He is not funny, but he wasn't annoying, I guess. The other guy, though, Blake Anderson, almost as bad as Adam Devine. For the longest time, he's just kind of like Anders Holm, not as bad as Adam Devine, but still not good in any way. But then certain things come about his character. I'm just gonna spoil it, screw it. He basically reveals, hey guys, I'm gay, and then they're like, yeah, we already know, you've come out to us like when you were really drunk, and then he's like, oh, alright, well now I'm gonna act extremely sassy, like, oh my god. He basically just becomes and fully embraces the gay stereotype because he just came out, no one cares, like, alright, the rest of the movie I'm like this, like, god damn! When he starts acting like that is when his character gets to be extremely irritating, especially when it leads to, like, a big fight he has with one of the female villains. Like, oh my god, it's awful. And before you ask, no, none of the action moments that happen in this movie, they're not entertaining, they're not filmed well either. This is generic comedy filmmaking, and the cinematography is bland. The visual effects when they're there for like the explosion moments, god awful. You can tell that they are fake. And I really have a problem with the main villain of this movie because he's the main villain in Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. And I was just thinking, like, that villain in Paul Blart Mall Cop, what did he want? Well, he was at a casino, hotel, so money. He was taking over a hotel in that one. And then in this one, he's taking over a hotel for money. It's like, why, dude? Why are you being typecasted as the terrible comedy villain who just wants money from a hotel? And speaking of the hotel, Daniel Stern plays the character Mitch, who is running the hotel. Basically, he's the Harvey Weinstein of hotel managers, because he's hitting on women and always getting in their personal space. And because of that, at one point, one of the female villains chops his penis off. And I was like, oh dang, they brought a really violent end to Daniel Stern. Not like I care, because his character is just nothing, and they were really wasting Daniel Stern's comedic talent. But then he comes back near the end of the movie. Like in that fight I mentioned earlier with the gay stereotype dude and the female villain, he throws the chopped up penis at her to distract her. And that eventually leads to her demise, and he's just back telling the same jokes he was before. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, I wish you would have stayed dead earlier when the girl chopped off your penis, but instead you're still here and you're holding now a fake chopped off penis, and like really putting it right there in full frame, like not even trying to hide it. This movie is purely shock value. There is so many not just like shock value like with the nudity, but also with the violence. There's so many violent things that happen in this movie. Like Adam Devine at one point, when he's being pursued by a villain, like takes his head and like puts like a cheese grater or something on it, and parts of his like head start to get completely torn up and bloody. And I was like, why is this in a comedy? I know it's R-rated, but why is this in a comedy? It took a really dark turn, and you weren't really setting it up to be like that. Like, sure, bad guys are taking over the hotel and killing people, but this dark where you're showing graphic violence like that? And of course, at one point, for pure shock value, they kill a dog, and that was really depressing. I don't know why they did that, other than, well, we're gonna be on Netflix, so we can. Like, you really got nothing out of doing that. And also, like, several scenes later, or maybe a couple scenes before, the guy they're trying to rob in the hotel, in order to try to persuade him to give the money to them, they make him eat a dude out. The butt? Yeah, uh-huh. That was the worst thing I have ever seen. It's, I had to watch that with my family, too. Wow. Huh. I am just now remembering how messed up watching that scene was. It's bad enough I have to sit through 3 main characters who all suck, one even more than the others, but they still all suck. Not only am I getting terrible jokes just there for shock value, to have excessive violence for no reason, and excessive just nudity with the penis, Daniel Stern's penis, why? But then they also have a character played by Aya Cash from You're the Worst, that FX show, basically just there to be the feminist for no reason. Like, I thought maybe she would, like, try to one-up the guys or something, or maybe she'd be one of the guys to escape at the hotel, and she meets up with them, like, what are you idiots doing? Like, I got a plan, let's follow my lead, or something like that. But instead, she's really annoyed at them at the beginning of the movie. Then when the hotel gets held hostage, she's held hostage the longest, and she starts to get really freaked out because she can't handle it. Then all of a sudden, when Daniel Stern comes back later with this like, she grabs it and, like, throws it against the wall, like, hey, man, I'm really mad at you. This isn't the time, but I'm really mad at you. You are acting like a pig, and I'm gonna call the board on you if we live through this, and getting you fired. Like, why are you forcing in a feminist message in this terrible film? Because you're just adding another terrible thing into this movie. Feminism is not terrible, I'm not saying that, but in this movie, the way they portrayed it, the way they just shoehorned it in, for no reason. Like, what is the purpose other than just this one message of Daniel Stern's the Harvey Weinstein, and she's the Rose McGowan, and just sticking it to the man? Like, why? Why is that there? It has no place! Another thing that has no place is that these 3 guys, their invention, they actually do make it later in the film to help them beat the bad guys. It's called Skintendo, where they put a guy in this suit made out of just basically garbage around the hotel, and they somehow already have an app that's controlling it, and the guy who's like knocked unconscious is like just moving around like this with just maybe like a few wires on him. Like, you already are making a terrible comedy. Don't try to insult my intelligence by saying these 3 losers working at a hotel were able to make an app, connect it to this suit that they made out of garbage, and it's somehow one of the greatest inventions ever. Like, why? Why did you do this? Why are you trying to make me feel dumb? I mentioned earlier in this review that I was really clinging on to that one positive that you can tell they're friends, but like I said earlier, it doesn't really reflect in the movie because the three friends you are watching, you don't feel their chemistry, you don't feel like their characters are actually good, like you don't want to follow them at all. They're not likable. Another thing that I was clinging on to, the other thing, as far as positives, trying to not give it an F, was there was one or two jokes where I was like, well, that was funny. One of them was basically a bad guy's waiting for an elevator to open because they believe that's where the heroes are. Elevator opens, no one's there. So the guy walks away, but then like a couple feet over, another elevator opens and it's them. And I was like, okay, that's kind of funny. That's stupid funny, but it's just one joke. That's one joke in an entire film filled with nothing but stupid stuff. The other joke was basically two bad guys walk into the hotel room that our three lead characters are all stuck in, like, we gotta get out of here, how do we get out of here? Two other guys are hiding, like, behind a bed or somewhere, but the two villains walk in, like, oh, what are we doing? Open the closet, Adam Devine is there, but he's hung himself. Not actually, it's just a hoax, but he's hung himself, and his thing is out, and he's like grabbing it, making it seem like he was whacking off while hanging himself. And the two villains are like, oh dang, that's vile. And at first I laughed just for the pure shock. I did not know that it was gonna be like that, and I was like, okay, I thought maybe Adam Devine was gonna try to knock them out but then fail or something. I was not expecting that image, so I laughed at first. Then the joke kept going, and he was still there having to hold that position, and the two villain guys, also, they're gay for each other, so they start to make out in front of the pretend Adam Devine dead corpse. And it's like, why is this now becoming this? Like, if the scene had just ended with them going like, okay, that's bad, let's just get out of here, and left him there, and they did not go back to that full image of him standing in the closet again, that would have been better as a joke, but they keep him there because these two guys, they really want to bang right now. So they do. And then it turns into that where they kill one of those guys, and then that guy is really upset, obviously. So he tries to kill them. It turns into basically a revenge plot with the one bad guy. And I was trying. You heard me earlier. I was trying to hold on to some positives. But I can't. I'm talking about it now. I thought about it earlier. Like, I can't give this movie anything higher than what I'm going to give it right now. It is awful. One last thing I wanted to say before giving my grade is that the ending of this movie genuinely left me confused. Basically, the adventure of these three guys stopping the bad guys at this hotel gets made into a video game. I don't know why a movie, but a video game ties into what they were doing before. So whatever. They're on like a boat and they're celebrating their success, and it's 2 years later. Then all of a sudden, the last shot of the movie is these pirates on this mini boat coming towards their big party boat, and it ends with the two title cards, coming soon, game overboard. And I have no idea if that was a joke. I don't know if they were just doing that for laughs or if they're actually serious. It seems like something they could do, and Netflix is trying to do a lot, so maybe they are actually planning to do a game overboard movie. I'd really not be in for it, okay? I would rather not see these terrible characters again. I'd really rather not see them go through basically the same mean-spirited plot again, just this time they're on a boat or something. Like, I just, no. We're done. No more. Keep them away from movies and Netflix. If they want to make more TV shows like Workaholics, then whatever. Frick it. I don't care. Just no more movies like Game Over Man. I've got to give Game Over Man an F. I tried to convince myself that one of the two jokes that were actually funny could save it, but it really cannot. These three guys may be friends in real life, but it really doesn't reflect here because this film is nothing but mean-spirited shock value humor, nudity, and violence for the sake of having it there because it's a Netflix movie and we can put anything instead of actually telling a clever comedy. And for Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg producing, I was really expecting just a little bit more. Netflix, you're trying to solidify yourself as a film studio, and there's still other bad movies that you've released that I still have to review, but this, by far the worst one I've seen from you. Like, damn, dude. Damn, you gotta improve. But if you've seen Game Over Man, leave in the comments below what you thought of it, and as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.